Hey everybody, JC here from Toy News International, and today I'm doing another TNI news video giving you some updates from this past weekend's New York Toy Fair. I just got back from New York the other day. I did a video yesterday covering most of the highlights for Marvel products, and today I'm going to touch base on DC comic products. So specifically action figures from companies like NECA, Mattel, and DC Collectibles. So we'll kick things off. We got a lot of things to cover here. Okay, so starting off with NECA Toys, they debuted some very cool DC Comic 2-packs. There's going to be 3 different sets. The first set is going to be released in July, and that's going to feature Batman in just a normal comic book-like costume versus an alien figure that looks very reminiscent of the Joker figure. Now this set is up for pre-order now. It's going to cost about $48, so that $50 price range, which, you know, normally NECA figures cost in the neighborhood of $20 to $25. So for 2 figures, you know, $50 makes sense. Then the remaining 2 figures will then be released, or the remaining 2 packs will be released on a quarterly basis. So I don't have specific release dates, but basically they said these would be released quarterly. So the second set is going to feature an armored Batman from versus the Predator, a Predator figure, and then we're going to get a Superman figure, so a comic book Superman figure from NECA Toys. These are 7-inch scale, of course, and that's going to be versus an alien figure. Now these figures will have some accessories. Looks like Superman's going to have some heat vision, and the figures will have multiple hands and stuff. So I don't know how decked out the Batman figure, will he come with like a batarang or anything like that? I'm not 100% sure, but there will be some accessories with these figures. And again, the first one is due out in July. Now moving on to DC Collectibles, they had a number of new DCTV figures on hand. These are 7-inch scale figures. So we're going to be getting a Kid Flash figure from the Flash TV series. We're going to be getting a White Canary figure for DC Legends of Tomorrow. Those were the 2 new ones I don't think we'd seen before. We're also getting the Atom from DC Legends of Tomorrow. We're getting a Vixen figure, which you might think was part of DC Legends of Tomorrow, but this is actually, she's part of the Green Arrow or the Arrow TV series. She first appeared in the Arrow TV series, and so that's what they're basing this version of Vixen off of. We're getting Martian Manhunter from the Supergirl TV series, and then also Supergirl herself is still coming. And then Constantine, which is part of the Green Arrow or Arrow TV series, but essentially is the character as he appeared in the short-lived NBC series. He made a brief appearance in one episode of Arrow, so he's getting an action figure as well. The DC movie line, their 7-inch line of action figures line, is now on hold, possibly indefinite hold. Basically what happened is there just was not enough retail support for those figures because so many different companies are doing figures for the movies, Justice League, Suicide Squad, Dawn of Justice. You know, basically companies like, MediaCon, Mayfax, SH Figure Arts, Tomasi Nations, even Mattel. Now, I've seen some of you say, well, it's too bad they didn't make these figures cheaper, meaning more in line with like the DC TV series figures, which cost about $28 as opposed to like the $50, $60, $70 these movie figures were going for. And I don't know this for sure, but I am speculating that possibly the reason why they didn't go that route is because they had to keep the price point high on these figures, these movie figures, so that they wouldn't be in conflict with the Mattel figures. I know both Mattel and DC Collectibles are doing things like TV figures and stuff, but it may be that because the movie figures are deemed more valuable, the licensing between those companies is more strict. And sometimes, the Mattel figures, which cost $20, a way for another company to maybe do a similar type figure is to do one that's at a higher price point. I had talked to some folks at Toy Fair this past week about the SH Figure Arts Marvel figures because I was curious how Bluefin distributors would be able to start distributing the regular Marvel figures here in the United States and not be in conflict with Hasbro's Marvel Legend. And basically the explanation is because the SH Figure Arts figures are a much higher price point than the Marvel Legends, and that's how they're able to do it. So could be something similar there with the DC Collectibles and why they had to do the higher price points on the movie figures. I don't know. Again, that's just speculation on my part. But anyway, that line is on hold for now. Now I say for now because the sense I got is they would love to release these movie figures at some point. A lot of them have actually been made. Basically, they told me they're basically be put into a vault and stored away. So I definitely got the impression that they would like to release these. So it may be down the road when other companies, after these movies have kind of come and gone and other companies aren't pumping out all these figures for these movies, it might be that DC Collectibles tries to pull those back out and get them released. So I wouldn't say never. I wouldn't say they're never going to be released, but right now they are on indefinite hold until further notice. Okay, so moving on, the Justice League movie statues. So these are the only statues I'm going to be talking about, but DC Collectibles did have some cool statues. So this gives us a really good look at all the costumes for the characters in the upcoming Justice League movie. Superman, who, shocker, is actually going to be returning, is not dead or didn't stay dead. Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, and Flash. Now, one thing I wanted to note here is I was talking to the folks at DC Collectibles, and I've heard a lot of you complain about this costume that Flash is wearing in this movie. But my impression after talking to the folks at DC Collectibles is this Flash costume that we're seeing is really only temporary. This apparently is kind of something that the Flash just kind of pieced together, a homemade costume, if you will. And so I have a feeling by the end of the movie we might see a better looking costume. So if you're not a fan of this version of the Flash, I would expect that we're going to see something probably towards the end of that movie that maybe will be more in keeping with what you have in mind when you think of a Flash costume. DC Icons, the 6-inch figures. So the Rebirth box set, a lot of you have been asking about that, and that set is still slated for release, and in fact should be out probably next month or April at the latest, but I believe it's actually set to ship next month sometime in March. So that should be coming out soon. And just to recap, that set features Rebirth versions of Flash, Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern. And, originally this was going to be a new 52 box set. Those figures were basically put on hold and redone as the Rebirth versions, the more modern incarnations of these characters. Superman vs. Doomsday Deluxe figure set. So this is a really cool looking set. This features, basically it's being done to celebrate the Death of Superman comic book, where Superman fights Doomsday and ends up getting killed. And the Superman figure is going to have 3 different head sculpts, and one of the head sculpts is going to feature the ability to put this heat vision on. Basically, the heat vision kind of just fits around the head. It's made to fit around the head, so you might be able to use that on other Superman figures as well, but it is specifically made to fit on the one particular head sculpt that comes with this Superman versus Doomsday set. It's going to have a little display base with the rock that's got the pole with Superman's cape kind of waving there in the wind like a flag. It's going to have some word balloons, and it's going to come in some deluxe packaging. So if you're a fan of Doomsday, then I think this is one you're definitely going to want to check out. And if you like the Superman versus Doomsday storyline where Superman gets killed, then I think this is a nice nod to that. Now this set's going to cost in the neighborhood of about $65. It is up for pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store and is slated with a November release date. Also shown was, for the Icons, was their Super Sons 2-pack, and this is featuring Rebirth versions of Robin and Superboy. So this is kind of a cool set if you like the modern incarnations of those characters. The figures are each figure is going to have multiple pairs of hands with little gadgets like batarangs. One of the Robin pairs has batarangs in it, things like that. And then the Superboy figure also comes with this little hover stand. It's done with a semi-translucent plastic. So basically it's made so you can kind of so it looks like Superman's hovering in the air over Robin if you want to stand the 2 figures together. Now, this is based on the new comic book called The Super Sons, which I have not yet checked out. I'm not even sure if it's actually been released yet. It's a brand new comic book, but that's what it's based on. The set's going to cost in the neighborhood of $55 and should see a release in September. We also got a look at a new Icons Hush Nightwing figure. So that's based on Nightwing from the Hush storyline, and then we're getting an Icons Rebirth Supergirl figure. So if you're a fan of Supergirl, that one definitely looked pretty good. For the Batman the Animated Series line, for brand new, we got our first look at an upcoming Batman the Animated Series Joker figure that's part of the Expression Pack series. So we saw the Batman figure that was announced, I believe, maybe even last year at Toy Fair, which should be coming out very soon. And I think that figure looks good. That's the one with the different head sculpts and the different capes and everything. And so now we're going to get a Joker figure, which is cool because you basically can put a trench coat. Basically, you've got where you can put this trench coat over the body, and then they've given you separate arms that have basically the trench coat on the arms, which you can switch out on the figure. Also from the Christmas episode where you've got the robot Jokers with their arms straight out, and so they've got some arms like that. And different head sculpts. So if you're a fan of the Joker and the Batman the Animated Series, this is one you're probably going to want to check out. And then the big thing for Batman the Animated Series is their Batcave playset. This is definitely cool. Every year they do some big item. The first year they started doing this, we got the Batmobile. Last year we got the Batwing. And this year we're getting a Batcave display piece. So basically it's the Bat computer, which is going to have lights and screens that you can switch out with display pieces and stuff. And then it's got a display a platform for the cave and a chair for Batman to sit in to work at the Bat computer. And then it's going to have some kind of backdrop. Might not be exactly what we saw at Toy Fair. The backdrop may change. It may not be as thick. But they're going to give us some kind of backdrop so that we can kind of create that look of the Batcave. And that's going to be released in October, I believe. So just in time for Christmas, that's going to be coming out. And that's got a price of about $140. Okay, and then finally for Mattel, I'm going to go over the DC Multiverse 6-inch figures that they had on display. Now, some of this I've actually taken information that we got from San Diego Comic-Con and combined it with this because there were figures that were on display there that were not shown here. And unfortunately, it's kind of hard to get actual factual information from Mattel these days. There's really nobody around, like at their Toy Fair event that they held for the media. They really didn't have anybody on hand to ask questions. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to confirm much of this, but I've kind of just pieced it together. We did get a look at their new 6-inch Multiverse Wonder Woman wave based on the Wonder Woman movie. So that wave's going to include the Queen figure. It's going to have two versions of Wonder Woman, one in her Amazon gear and then one in her more stoic, heroic gear, which is going to have a coat. And then we're getting a Steve Trevor figure based on the Chris Pine character, which I do have to admit, that figure looks very much like Chris Pine. And then the Collect and Connect figure for that wave is going to be Ares. So we got our first look at the actual Ares figure from the movie. They also had on hand figures for their King Shark wave. The Collect and Connect figure is King Shark. And then that wave is going to include a DC Legends of Tomorrow Hawkman figure, Jim Gordon Batman, the Batman in all black with the yellow symbol, Burnside Batgirl, The Dark Knight Returns Joker, Earth 2 Flash from the Flash TV series. Now, a lot of you have been asking whether or not the Zoom figure is going to be released that we saw back during San Diego Comic-Con. That figure was not on display this weekend, but I can tell you, because I've seen review samples sent out, that Zoom is still coming, but I think it may end up being a store exclusive. So I that's one of those things where I'm just kind of piecing together, but it looks like the figure is definitely still coming, but being that it wasn't on hand this weekend, and being like places like Big Bad Toy Store that has that wave up for pre-order don't have it listed as part of the assortment, I'm thinking it's going to be a store exclusive. I have no idea what store it'll be exclusive to, And again, I can't even confirm 100% that's the case, but I am almost sure that that figure will see some kind of release. And I am thinking that that figure might have the alternate head to the King Shark figure that we saw at San Diego Comic-Con this past summer. We also got a new look at the wave with the Gotham City PD Batbot. That's the Collect and Connect for that wave. So we'd seen a lot of these figures at San Diego Comic-Con. That wave's going to include the Legends of Tomorrow Atom figure, a Rebirth Batman figure, a Robin figure from We Are Robin, the We Are Robin comic book series. That's where a bunch of different people take on the mantle of Robin. Batman Year 2 Reaper figure, the New 52 Batwing figure, and then, as I said, the Collect and Connect figure is going to be the Batbot. Now, one of the figures that was originally announced for this wave, which was not on hand this weekend, was the Wonder Woman figure in her New 52 Convergence outfit. I'm guessing, once again, that figure is probably going to be some kind of store exclusive. And then we got to look at a new wave that we had not seen before. Each of the figures in this wave will come with a very cool Clayface Collect and Connect piece, and the Clayface figure was actually designed by the Four Horsemen. This wave is actually going to include Rebirth Superman, Batwoman, the female Jessica Cruz Green Lantern figure, the Two-Face figure from Rebirth, and then, as I said, the Collect and Connect is going to be Clayface. Now, they also had a Robin figure on hand, and I believe that's going to be a store exclusive. At San Diego Comic-Con, Mattel had said that that was going to be an exclusive to Toys R Us. So that one was on hand, and I believe that's part of the King Shark wave. Other figures that were announced at Comic-Con, which were listed as store exclusives, which were not on hand here, were the Flash from the Dark Knight 3 series, which was supposed to be and should be a Walgreens exclusive. A Wonder Woman figure also from the Dark Knight 3 comic book series, which was supposed to be a Walmart exclusive. Young Justice Wonder Girl, which was also supposed to be a Walmart exclusive, and Dr. Psycho, which was also labeled as a Walmart exclusive. Now, the final thing that was on hand was a new Justice League movie Batmobile made for 6-inch figures. So this is something where it looks like Mattel has pulled out all the stops and put the bells and whistles on. This thing's going to have, you can control it with an application on your smartphone, very similar to what we saw with Hasbro and their Rogue One AT-ACT. But this one is, they've taken it a step further, because not only can you drive it, but they apparently are going to have a camera on it so you can actually see where you're driving. That was actually one of my complaints with the AT-ACT, is it would have been cool if there was some kind of camera. So it looks like Mattel's taken that technology a step further, and it included that. It's going to make sounds. When you start it up, it sounds like an actual exhaust. And it's going to cost $200. The SRP on that is going to be $249.99. Pre-orders for that should open up around the time of San Diego Comic-Con, and it should be available at all major retailers. Let's check out this demonstration that the folks at Mattel gave. This video comes courtesy of Pixel Dan.
First thing I'm going to do is start it up. What you're going to notice is the sound. The sound is proportional to the throttle. Smoke is as well. So the more you rev it, the more exhaust comes out. If it sits idle, it just pours out like that. There's a suspension change in this car. The steering, the Gatling guns, and the rocket launchers are all linked together. So when I steer it left and right, so do the guns. They're tracked, proportional steering left and right. The actual Gatling guns are actually animated as well. And Batman is sitting inside. That 6-inch action figure is not the one that'll come in it, but there will be one that does. It is 100% removable. It is special because actually there's a special linkage in his left arm, so it looks like he's actually driving and steering the car. The dashboard's interactive. The light pattern does change the faster you go when you hit the brakes. That will also brighten up on you.
Okay, so that's it. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to the most. Are you tempted to get that Batmobile even with the hefty price tag of $250? I would definitely be interested in hearing in the comments section below. And until next time, guys, I will catch you later.